the avoidable killings of, citizens in that area. Governor Zulum of Borno State has lamented at a special expanded security meeting in Government House on Tuesday the killings and the fact that there's a resurgence of Boko Haram. And he acknowledged that the presidency, everybody has done what can be done. The state government has always cooperated with the military, but this has happened, and he felt it needs to be said aloud that this problem is still very much with us. Okay, our guest is Brigadier General Kukasheka Usman, retired. He's a strategic communications expert and former director of Nigeria Army Public Relations. A fine morning to you, General.
Hello? Hello?
General?
I could barely hear you.
Oh, okay. I think they've done something about it. Is it better now? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Now I can hardly hear you. As you spoke, it went down. When you complained, it came up. Now it has gone down. We'll see how it goes. But can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So, well, thank you very much, General, for, coming on the program. And, many Nigerians will be joining the governor in lamenting this situation about the resurgence of Boko Haram in the state, an indication that government, no other way to put it, is losing ground. Now, it are worrying, especially after we have thought that we really had gotten on top of this problem, and then suddenly for us to now hear that, contrary to that notion, we are actually losing ground there. First of all, give me your general commentary on that, and perhaps you might have ideas as to how this has happened.
Well, first and foremost, I think not just the state governor.
I can't hear you, General.
Every other well-meaning Nigerian has every reason to be concerned about the recent happening in the northeast, and in particular in Borno State, with the kind of resurgence of attack, and just is more or less like a wake-up call. That is my own understanding to it, that it is not yet uhuru in our counter-insurgency effort in this country and counter-terrorism. What is even more disturbing is the level of sophistication of this terrorist group, moving from IED, suicide bombing, to isolated attacks. Now they are embarking on the use of technology, not just for surveillance. They are using it to carry out attack, armed drones. So it's more or less like a wake-up call on each and every one of us to see what brought about this resurgence and how do we go about it. Take, for instance, now, how did they come about this weapon, the drones, and who taught them, and all the rest of them. But beyond that, again, there were some foreigners that were caught. They are not even Africans. In the theater, now they are being interrogated. So how did they come to this country? I agree we have porous borders, possibly they did not fly in or they came by road and so on. So these are the issues that, I can understand the concern of the governor and every other person, in the country in respect of that. Here we have the military, they are doing marvelously well, and because if you compare what was happening in other parts of the world, that have had similar experience. Colombia spent about 58 years fighting insurgents before they were able to subdue them. And here we are, in almost less than a decade, we are able to, make progress to the extent that we have, despite the affiliation, since 2016 with ISIS and what have you. So these are the issues. So it's more or less like a wake-up call that we have to. And when you look at attacks like Wajirko, for quite a number of times, Sabon Gari Damboa has always been the center of attraction for these terrorists. Even the Abubakar Shekau faction. So what is it that makes it so attractive? And then again, the remnants of Boko Haram terrorists hibernating on Mandara mountains and bit a bit the geopolitics that is going on. You remember now some of our neighboring countries, they have no love lost between us and them. Take, for instance, Niger and the rest of them. So, there is proliferation of arms and insurgent groups elsewhere. And with the kind of unsavory relationship, we might not have the necessary support and cooperation that we require. So I think the most important thing, like I said, is a wake-up call. So it's a collective responsibility on the part of the military, on the part of security forces, on the part of the government, not just the federal government, but even Borno State government and the good people of Borno State. Because yesterday, as we were having discussion, there were other isolated attacks that were not reported. But be it as it may, if you look at it again, yes, it is in the fringes of the military, locations or bases. But that notwithstanding, then we need the support of the people, just like they were cooperating in the past, to the extent that these people were laying down their arms in drums. In quite a large number. Then, of course, Borno State needs the support of the federal government and even the civil society organization, international non-governmental organization, because the Borno State initiative, I think, is solely be funded by the state government. Do they have the resources? Because there is an issue of youth, boldness, and restiveness in the state. So it needs to be supported, with the Miaga resources, so that initiative and the governor's effort to settle people go on progressively. So it's quite a challenging task, but I think it's possible. We can mitigate it, but it requires the support of each and every component of the Nigerian society, be it the security, the government, and the people themselves. Because the issue of conspiracy of silence, because these guys do not operate in isolation. People are giving them information. People are giving them support. So why is it now, when we have enjoyed semblance of peace in that state for quite a number of years, 3 years, so to speak, and more? So basically that is the issue.
Well, yeah, and one is quite concerned as to how we shall get back on top of it, seeing as we can't depend on, shall I say, the contribution, the security contribution of Niger before. Niger has a very extensive border with Nigeria, and it is thought that, as you have just indicated, even though you explained that even these fighters that they're looking at now are not even African. But, Niger is not interested anymore in the kind of joint arrangement we had to police our borders, and it's a very extensive border. Even the Nigeria army itself, I wonder, can it devote all of its resources to that particular corridor? So one is, I think I heard somebody say, look, it's not a matter of being helpless, it's a matter of being frustrated. So what are we going to do? Because all the best efforts have now led us up to where these people, we've always been told by experts like your good self that, look, this kind of war, it's not a standard kind of a war, and so people should be a bit more understanding when they want to talk about our lack of the kind of progress we would have liked to see.
Well, I think you are quite right. The thing is that, yes, people are frustrated and all the rest of the thing, but the truth is that I think all is not lost. I mean, all hope is not lost, in the sense that I think we have started in the right direction. Take, for instance, the meeting that the governor called or rather held with all the relevant stakeholders, the security agencies, the traditional rulers, as well as other components of the Borno State society. So the thing is that now I think we ought to have been having such conversation more frequently than at this point in time. But that notwithstanding, I believe there will be cross-fertilization of ideas. They will hear from the security agencies, and of course the community leaders, and I'm so happy the Sheikh of Borno has spoken, and all the rest of the thing. I think they will harness those ideas. Whatever can be done within the theater of Borno State, as it were, I'm sure it will be done. That is one. Secondly, but I'm so sure, again, because there were calls. Take, for instance, even the Borno State governor has talked about, equipping the military more, especially the use of technology, which is quite important. And that is where the federal government comes into play, because they own all these things. No, I have to, because I'm not hearing very well. So, sorry, there was an interruption. So what I'm trying to say here is that there is a collective responsibility. The Borno State government has started in the right direction, and of course the security forces have keyed in, and what remains is for the federal government to see how best it can, not just support of the security agencies, but I made mention of the geopolitics, what is happening in the West African sub-region and what is happening in the Sahel region too. See how best they will take advantage of it so that Nigeria's interest is served, in terms of mitigating the proliferation of these armed groups and the arms itself. Because unless we do so, we will just be moving in, cycles, because there is no doubt about the fact that there were vested interests, at play, hence the resurgence of what we are seeing.
Well, indeed, vested interests at play. It even makes it more complicated. Especially, it was very worrying. What you've just said, a lot of viewers that are also listening will probably be, learning about that for the first time, that we're now even contending with mercenaries. I don't know what else to call them if they are fighting on the side of the bad guys and they are not Africans. What can be, in fact, the strength of the enemy in this? Do we actually know the strength of the enemy? Because we used to say, perhaps a bit flippantly, that these people are running rings around our men in uniform. It might be a slight exaggeration, but certainly they seem to be having the upper hand. They seem to be able to do what they want without undue fear of being challenged.
I don't think so that they tend to be having an upper hand, in the sense that these are attacks. Yes, lives were lost, equipment were lost, but if you look at it or juxtapose it to, along with what we had been having before, you can understand this is more or less like isolated cases that can easily be mitigated. But that notwithstanding, I think there is a need for people to understand that really something is fundamentally wrong. And how do we go about doing it? First and foremost, how did we come about these foreigners, in the theater? Unlike in the past, yes, we have had instances, actually, we have, even when I was in service, some light-skinned persons were caught, fighting along with the Boko Harams. But basically, it was more or less like at a tactical level. But now it has moved beyond operational level to even strategic level, in the sense that it will shock you to know that there are even foreign arms dealers within this theater. So how do they come? And to what extent are we tracing the origins of these people and their sponsors and the arms? And what is the federal government of Nigeria doing about it? And that is why the issue of, geopolitics come into play. We just have to engage these people. And of course, there is no doubt about the fact that Nigeria is the darling of the world. There is serious competition about the resources, about the country, as it were. Of course, some of these, our neighboring countries, they are now in military administration as against democratic governance, and the unsavory relationship with ECOWAS and what have you. And of course, themselves too, they claim to be championing independence and what have you, but of course they are hobnobbing with other superpowers. There are other superpowers that have lost out. So somewhere along the line, somebody wants to covet something, out of Nigeria and some of these countries, and definitely there are competition and all the rest. That is just one. But then again, the other aspect is that you have to look at the ideological aspect of it. 2016, a faction of the Boko Haram paid allegiance to ISIS, and of course Islamic State in the Maghreb and what have you. So basically they are unrelenting, and when you look at the trajectory of terrorism everywhere or insurgency, they remain resilient. So what do? You have to be ahead of them. But of course, you need credible information and intelligence, and that is where the community has come into play, and that is why we are talking about enhancing the social economic well-being of an average Nigerian. When you look at the other the attack in Gambarungala, Gambarungala is more or less like a border local government. To what extent are you integrating them into the overall, socio-economic development of the society, so that they will have greater sense of belonging in the Nigerian state and what have you, so that when these people come with their, lofty or enticing things, they will not budge into it. So basically, this is the way you need to look at it, and that is the way you need to mitigate it.
I hear we have a caller from Benue State. I don't know if I got the name right. Is it Chima? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Please go ahead now.
Yes. I wish to say that the insecurity in Benue State, North Central Nigeria, is very, very alarming and bad. Benue is food basket of the nation. As I speak with you, we can hardly even produce food to feed even one local government in the state. This is very bad.
Okay, you've moved over to Benue State. We were actually going to get there, but please continue. Well, right now, Brigadier Usman retired. He's speaking about Borno, and Boko Haram antics in Borno. But
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, so please, we wish that the federal government will look into the case in Benue, because things that the whole thing has made life very difficult for us here in Benue. Farmers can no longer go to the farms. We are basically farmers in the state. So I wish that the federal government...
As I've just told you, that is the slated for our next topic. So I don't know if you could kindly call in again so as not to, even though they are both security related, but our guest, is Brigadier General Kukashenka Usman, retired. He's talking about the situation in Borno. Okay, so please, we'll come out. That will be our second topic of conversation. But thank you very much for calling in the first instance. Okay. So, General, it's security all over the place. Now, this...
I heard him.
Did you want to add anything, or did you, even though I sort of explained that, look, let's not mix up matters, but so maybe we should...
I don't think there is anything to add. There is nothing to add. And again, if he's talking about that, what of Plateau State, what of the northwestern part of the country, and so many other places, of course, I believe they have heard him.
Indeed. Now, we go back again in trying to look at what happened with Borno State, where the governor there is lamenting the resurgence of Boko Haram. I mean, it's worrying if it's coming from him. He's long been in this theater, and there was a time when he was even announcing, successes. So for about 3 years, we didn't hear anything. But then you did say that it is now clear that, look, these terrorists, they're very resilient. And I'm even surprised that they didn't know that. And what we tend to do, perhaps, correct me if I'm wrong, when we were getting announcements that, Boko Haram is on its last legs, it's on the back foot and all of that, maybe that was just giving them time to regroup, as opposed to us having this kind of an attitude about, the Yoruba have an expression that a wounded snake is still dangerous. The only good snake is a dead one. And in terms of, warfare and that kind of a thing. So when we say that, we've beaten them back enough, apparently not so, because the They withdraw to the mountains, to the bush, to wherever it is they withdraw to, and take their time, and then regroup, and then come back in this way, which unfortunately catches our people off guard. So it's like, do we need the reorientation? And it certainly won't be from programs like this that the military will know the nature of the beast that they are confronting.
I think it is not even, I think particularly the security agencies, and I am so sure the military, every operation there is always an after-action review. And I think at both defense and army headquarters level, there are, and other services, various departments of operation or training and innovation, they have a specific department or a cell about lesson learned. So everything that has transpired, they look at it critically. What is it that they have done right, and what brought about the success, and what is it that they have done wrong, and what is the impact, and how do they mitigate it. And so, it's, like I said, it is more or less like a wake-up call, going back to drawing board. And knowing the people, they are well experienced, right from the theater commander, the general officer commanding, and the sector commander, the component commander. These are people that we know. In fact, they have had experience. Some of them, this is about the third time they are having command. They have been commanding officers. They have been brigade commanders. Now they are GOC or theater commanders, as the case may be. So basically, they are familiar with the terrain. But the most important thing, I think, is to ensure that it goes down to tactical level, to ensure that those people at both operational and tactical level, what is it that they are having challenges with? It could be information, it could be technology, it could be, equipment and all the rest of the things. So these are the things. But I'm so sure lessons have been learned, and I can rest assure you, I don't speak for them, but I know, given the conversation I've had with some of them, they are coming back with renewed vigor. But I believe they need the support and encouragement of other components of society. Because, like I said, these people, there is still the issue of conspiracy, of silence on the part of some of these people. And sometimes you wonder.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon for interrupting you, but let me bring on Mr. Lasisi, who has called in from Ibadan. I don't want to keep him waiting for too long. Good morning, Mr. Lasisi.
All right, thank you. Oh, we might have lost him, right?
I think, yes, please continue, General. I think we lost. Apologies, Mr. Lasisi, who called in from Ibadan. If you were to try and call in again and you can make it, I'd come to you immediately. So, General, you were just explaining before
like I was saying, I think what is required again, in addition to what the authorities will do, is for the society to support, because the issue of politicization of security should be a thing on the past, because we have seen where it has taken us to, and it ought to no good. Therefore, everybody should be on the same plate to see how best they can contribute. You know, whether you are in governance, whether you are in opposition, whatever. The most important thing is to make this country safe and secure, and everybody has a role to play. So, and like the way it is, these guys are no magicians. They don't have two heads. They only sit down and plan, and of course make use of the available resources to them, be it human or material. And most important thing is the human, because most of them, they are there in the bush. How do they get information? Somebody somewhere gives them information.
Indeed.
Somewhere,
General, sorry again, yet again, I'm going to try. Good morning, Mr. George, calling in from Lagos.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Good morning to the General. Uncle Yori, I heard the General say something, that there are vested interests in the resurgence of Boko Haram in Borno State. I would like him to expatiate on that assertion. But it's very unfortunate that this is happening. If it needs be, can the government not seek foreign help in these things, because it's just getting too much, Uncle Yori. There is no state you don't have bandits and kidnappers. And now Boko Haram is coming forward again. How are we going to fare like this? The second thing I want to suggest to the government is the Tucano jets we have, we are not allowed to use them maximally. The type of banditry we have, some of them are even more serious than the Boko Haram sect. How can't we use, and the military know their camps, how can't we use these equipment to deal with them with the permission of the producers that sold them to us? I understand they are the ones that created limits to which these things can be used. They should come and see what we are suffering here and sympathize with us so that we can maximize the use of this equipment and deal with these things, maximally as well.
Okay.
I don't I think that's just the way to go.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. George.
Word of life.
Yes. Okay. Well, General, would you like to react to that?
Yeah, I would like to thank Mr. George for his contribution. If only he had been with us much longer or earlier than now, he would have understood that I have elucidated in respect of this issue of foreign or rather vested interests. Why? Because I made mention of the fact that there were some foreigners. Right now, they have been caught in the theater and they are undergoing interrogations. Some of them, they are not even Africans, apart from, so how do they come about? So they might have been sponsored by some other components. And of course, I made reference to the fact that given the unsavory relationship with some of the West African countries and Sahel, there is competition, especially on the part of superpowers, to see how best they can protect their own interests. And they will do everything possible to ensure, they destabilize these countries. And unfortunately, some of the neighbors, they do not even understand. They don't even look at the enemies elsewhere, but they are looking at their neighbor as the enemy. So the level of cooperation and understanding that we are supposed to get, we don't get it. So that is one component of it. And again, like I mentioned, there are people, every day I kept making reference to the war economy. War economy is an economic system that revolves around complex situations. Whether you like it or not, there are people that are benefiting, even though people are dying, people are being displaced, infrastructure is being destroyed. People are benefiting from it. And to them, they don't have qualms. All they want is to get money or whatever they can get out of it. So
it's an unfortunate fact of war
that I'm talking about.
Okay. Sorry, sir. One moment, sir. Chidi in Kafanchan. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
Good morning, the general in the studio. I want to commend the governor of Borno State for crying out. How I wish so many other governors in Nigeria will call up.
Oh, okay. Unfortunately, that call dropped. But that statement that he made, that he actually commends Professor, Babagana Zulum for, speaking up. And that aspect of it, he's done so much, we all know because it was constantly being reported. But the way that gentleman started is that he wanted to actually commend the governor for speaking up about the nature of the problem on our hands now. I don't know if
I wish the network was not so
that
bad
he could have continued to expatiate a bit.
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to also ask him question, which part of Kafanchan is he, because I was privileged to attend secondary school in Kafanchan. So
okay.
So it's more or less like I wanted to ask him whether from Kafanchan town or Kaninko or Ngwarimi or
Indeed.
So, but that notwithstanding, like I said earlier on, of course that is why it's understandable the way the governor felt the way he did. Why? Because he's doing marvelously well. There is no doubt about that fact. And here you are doing very well, and suddenly you start to have some impediments, so we can understand. And as such, he started with the right kind of steps, in the sense that calling for this stakeholders meeting, components of the Borno State society were all there yesterday, when they dissected the problem. And I'm so sure they will come out with, way forward, as it were. So it's understandable and it's very commendable of him. But this is not the first time. His predecessor, the vice president, has also once cried out in respect of these issues, especially poor equipment of the military and what have you. So basically, this is it. And that is what we want with leaders. But at the same time, I think constructive engagement is equally very important, in the sense that because these guys are always there with them. So first and foremost, we need to ask them questions. Come, you have been doing so well. Why is it that now things are getting to slide back? So taken in confidence, I believe they will, because there are certain things that's above, they cannot be said, in front of the cameras and what have you. And that is why, again, possibly there are certain things that Borno State ought to have done, or government ought to have done, or it is federal government, because sometimes they will use them as a lynching pad, to talk to, the spheros and all the rest. But be it as it may, I think it's quite commendable that he has done so, and it's quite commendable that he's doing so, and quite commendable that he's so concerned.
Indeed. And in expressing his concern, he was still mindful and appreciative of the efforts of the federal government so far. But it does point to the fact that we've got to dig deep and come up with something more in this particular challenge that we have.
Exactly. And I even commend him, because he made a case for the military, especially the use of technology. Because, this thing has changed. The trajectory has changed, because the insurgents are now using drones, not for surveillance. They are using armed drones. That means we ought to be ahead of them. And, somebody has made reference. The caller is before George. Is it before George called? He made reference to the issue of the use of Tukano. But you remember, we have some people in the Nigerian society, regardless of the level of atrocities these guys are committing, they used to allege that the military or the security forces are using disproportionate force and what have you. So
yes.
That is why there is need. Yes, there is need to educate all Nigerians, so that you understand, when you are faced with an existential threat, the starting point is to see how can you mitigate the issue of the legal framework, that whatever you are doing is within the ambit of the law, so that you can also have the ability to use all those weapons at your disposal. Take, for instance, we have had instances where people were crying in the Northwest about the use of certain caliber of weapons, when the bandits, so to speak, were, shooting aircraft. So to what extent, how can you fold your arms and all the rest? And we have had instances even in Sudan with the UN. And that is why, when you look at the casualty we sustained in those days, bulk of our troops were shot in the back, because they told them that you cannot use Chapter 7. So these are the issues. And we need to educate Nigerians so that they will understand. Look, all these things that we are doing, will only happen in an atmosphere where we are secured and safe. Where it is not, the environment is not secure and safe, you fend for survival. So we don't want to reach that. Let us mitigate the problem. And there is a price that had to be paid.
Well, we're going to have to leave it here. Brigadier General Kukashenka Usman, retired strategic communications expert and former director of Nigeria Army Public Relations. We thank you, sir, for your, for coming on and sharing your perspectives with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
We're going to take a break now. Do please stay with us. As I said, when I think it was, I don't know, was it Chidi that called in, that we have another subject. So we're going to come and look at the uproar that has followed the renewed killings in Benue and Plateau State. That is what I believe it was Chidi in Kapanchan wanted to talk about. Perhaps Chidi will be able to call in again. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back.
The Inspector General of Police has met with senior officers to review the state of security.
We are continuing our coverage
of the arrest of Godwin Emefiele.
The Senate has summoned the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria to properly brief the Senate regarding the state of the economy.
What I will never take is threat.
Let's now bring you more development from Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, where an explosion has taken place. Tell us about this incident.
TVC News, first with breaking news.
Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyemi Oluyede, arrived at the Mangu Council area of Plateau State and then went straight to the venue of an engagement he hosted with leaders of communities in the area. The recent invasion of communities that left many people dead, including women and children, urgently brought the army chief to the community. The chorus is coming barely 24 hours after the visit of the National Security Advisor on the same issue. So much was deliberated, though journalists were asked to leave for a closed-door meeting. The attacks and killings must stop was the conclusion of the meeting agreed upon by both parties. The chorus then addressed journalists shortly after the meeting.
The fact here is that there are some issues that need to be resolved, politically. Because we can't rely permanently on kinetic approach to issues. So with that, I'm going to meet the governor of the state and deliberate with him to see how we can resolve these issues politically. We're talking about our aspect of the job. We're going to see how we can enhance the security of this place by inducting more men, inducting more enablers, and maybe from there we'll take it on.
While the military will continue to do their mandate, residents must prioritize peaceful coexistence above all. Funom Joshua, TVC News, Pocos.
Well, our thanks there to our man, up there. And our guest this time is Mr. Terence Kwanum. Good morning, Mr. Kwanum. Great to have you. It's been quite a bit.
Good morning, Mr. Okuyori. Good
Hello,
to be
sir.
here.
Indeed. Now, there's an uproar, and fittingly so, I think, because the report is that terrorists invaded no less than 6 villages. Rui, as I was just looking at it, is among them, even though we might not be familiar with the areas, but in other parts of the country. But Rui, Mango, Dafo, Manguna, Hurti, and Tadai, all in the Boko's local government area, we have learned. First of all, give me your commentary on this. Hitting at will, almost as it is, and now people have spoken up, just as you heard the army chief say there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uncle Yori. The situation that is going on within the Benue Valley at the moment is quite unfortunate. We've always been on it here, and always hoping that these issues doesn't come on our hand again.
Yes.
The government of Plateau has been on top of the situation. If we could recall, he raised the alarm in good time, brought the stakeholders together, and the National Security Advisor was also in Plateau State to be able to boost the morale of the security forces so that they'll be able to support the situation on ground and bring succor to the people. It's the farming season. Our people need to go to the farms and not to be displaced. So it's quite an unfortunate situation. And we always have this situation on our hands within this valley where we have Plateau, we have Benue, we have Nasarawa and Taraba and the rest of it. And it's something that we really need to do something about it so that it will not keep coming again. Because it's already affecting our agricultural yields.
Indeed.
States of the Benue Valley as a country and all of that, and is already affecting the economy. And so it's not something that should always be coming back to us. I will commend the efforts that is happening on the plateau because they've been up and doing, and which takes me to the challenges that we are having, that similar efforts that are being put in those places where the governors themselves could be able to come out and raise these alarms that so they have situations so that they are overwhelming them and they need help from outside. We want other states within the valley to also emulate this so that the issues of denial will not solve the problems. You need to own up to these challenges so that stakeholders can be able to come together and so that the federal government will know the right indices of challenges that you have and they know the reinforcement that they can bring to you to be able to solve this problem. As of this morning, the governor of Plateau State have addressed the nation, and we know that 64 communities are affected on the plateau. And so if help is going to come to the plateau, they know exactly the magnitude of problem that is happening. But in situations where there are attacks going on in about 15 local governments in a state, and then it is in total denial and trying to use the blame game of pointing fingers that is your National Assembly members that are sponsoring this crisis and XYZ, this is not going to bring a solution. And so these two scenarios that we are looking on, there are different solutions that are being played to it. And we hope that the solution that is coming from the plateau should be emulated in Benue so that the entire Benue Valley will be able to experience peace, and the farming seasons within the Benue Valley will witness bountiful harvest. Not the other side putting up a blame game, and then the other side that is up and doing, trying to bring everybody together to bring peace to his territory.
You know, I've heard people say government needs to intensify the efforts in the line of actionable intelligence gathering to sort of meet, to confront these situations. The fact that this is being spoken about now surprised me a bit. What is your understanding? Shouldn't we be taking that kind of a thing for granted? Intelligence, because everybody knows that nowadays you can't do very much in such an operational field without actionable intelligence. Is it that we are totally bereft of the advantages of intelligence, or what's your read of the situation?
Thank you very much, Uncle Yori. The fundamental thing is that we've had a situation now where the federal government is ready to deploy troops to the states to be able to assist in these situations. And the governors who are the chief security receiving the security votes are supposed to help these troops with logistics. These logistics are going to help them access the hotspots. They are going to develop intelligence from these hotspots so that they can be able to classify them and action them to prevent most of these situations. But in a situation where there is total denial that there are no killings in our place, and even government officials are coming out to deny killings when on a daily basis these killings are taking place, and the citizens are becoming agitated, coming out to protest and even destroy government properties in addition to the ravaging caused by these marauders. It is quite unfortunate, which is what we are cautioning that that is not the way to go. Good thing is that this thing is happening within the belt. A solution is coming promptly from the other side. And so you can be able to look the other side and see the way things are happening. If you recall, about a few months ago, the entire leadership of Plateau State across political boards came together and said that they are ready to work for the interests of the plateau, to bring peace and development to the plateau. All the leaders of the parties came together, the ministers, the governors, the National Assembly, State Assembly. That is the way to go. A situation you want to run a state as governor and then see the your members at the National Assembly as enemies, you won't be able to come together to synergize and bring peace and development to your plate. And so these two situations we are looking at this morning, we feel that the government in Benue State should take a leave from what is happening on the plateau and see the need for cooperation with all stakeholders to bring peace to their domains.
Do we have any updated figures on the unfortunate fatalities from these terrorist attacks?
Yes, we have very serious and damning figures from Benue that are coming because out of the 7 local governments that we have in Zone A, 4 of them are engulfed in this crisis. Out of the 7 that we have in Benue, Northwest Senatorial District, about 5 to 6 of them are involved in this crisis, and out of the 9 that are in Benue Zone C, Southern Senatorial District, about 5 of them. So about 15 local governments are involved in this crisis. As I speak to you today, the senator representing Benue Northwest, Senator Titus Zam's home has been completely ravaged by these marauders. In fact, the road leading to his ancestral home has been blocked by these marauders. The maternal home of the senator from Zone A is completely ravaged. The senator from Zone A, Senator Emmanuel Odendi, the maternal home of the House of Rep member for Kwando Shongo and Obo has been completely ravaged. All these people are now displaced. And we are talking of a famine season and so many other communities that are, we are seeing government. The sad thing is that because of the lukewarm attitude of government in Benue, our citizens are now agitated and are attacking government properties. If you recall, we had the same situation of protest in Ukum where the government properties and properties of government officials were destroyed. We have the same in West. And we don't want these situations to keep repeating itself. And we are calling the government that our stakeholders were ready to come together to team up with them so that we can be able to bring solution to this crisis. Pointed fingers at people. You can't tell me that a National Assembly member is sponsoring crisis in Benue and his own ancestral home has been ravaged, his own maternal home has been ravaged. Who does that? I cannot sponsor a crisis to go and destroy my own home. And so it's quite an unfortunate situation that we have on our hands there. But
let me bring in, I beg your pardon, sir. Let me bring in Chima, who has called in from Benue. Good morning, Chima.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Good morning, leader.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. I heard you the first time. In fact, I responded. I hope it's a two-way conversation. I hope you can hear us as well.
Very well, I can hear you. My name is Shima, not Chime.
Okay. The name is Shima?
Yes.
Shima, I'm sorry. I called you Chidi. Chima. I called you Chima, but it is Shima. Is the spelling different?
It's okay.
All right. It is Shima, not Chima.
Yes. The situation in Benue is terrible. It's very terrible. We wish that the state government will put in more resources into this fight. All these blame games of people in Abuja doing this and doing that is not helping us and is not taking us to anywhere. Please, we wish that we will all cushion in. Imagine state local governments like Otukpo and other places in Zone C where they never used to be fight. All these things are happening is not proper. It's not proper. So I wish that the state government will...
Shima, did we lose you? But I think you got most of it, enough for us to be able to work with there. So, well, Elder Terence, you heard it there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Shibat. You see, Uncle Yori, if you recall about some years ago when we had the anti-open grazing law, you know that we were able to control this situation to a large extent. That we didn't have Fulani herders just roaming the streets of Benue because we were enforcing the law. But this present government has repeated that law technically because the livestock guards that were enforcing this law have been disbanded by the government. The trucks they were using to impound offenders and impound their cows when they insist on roaming the bushes of Benue has been converted to cargo trucks in our Benue links, and a new security outfit has been brought to Benue, which objective we're yet to know because it's not actually protecting the citizens of Benue, and that is why we're facing this. We are urging the governor that that law was an instrument of the totality of the citizens of Benue, and we value that law because it brought peace to us. We expected him to consolidate on that law and then return our people back to the ancestral home. We loved him, and that was why he was massively voted into office, and he gave us his words on all these things that we're demanding from him at the moment. He shouldn't renege on his promise to the people of Benue. There is nowhere that crises are resolved with blame games. The people that are voted in the National Assembly, they are patriotic citizens of Benue. We loved them like we love him, and that is why we voted them there. If we recall, the member from Benue, the senator representing Zone B, raised a motion that the National Open Grazing Prohibition law should be enacted in this country. The member representing Zone A raised so many motions of urgent national importance of killing his senatorial district. The governor came out and attacked all these people that they are raising false alarm in Benue. He has been able to secure Benue. Now that the situation has been able to overwhelm them, they should come out clean and apologize to the people of Benue that it was an oversight, and we'll be able to come together, put our heads together, and see how we can be able to resolve this. We came together with Governor Otom. We brought the law. We encouraged him and supported him to enforce the law, and there was some level of peace in Benue.
Well, indeed. I want to thank you because we've run out of time, and well, this is a fine place to leave this, quite frankly, unfortunate story. It's unfortunate if even one life is lost, not to mention the kind of figures that we are hearing. But one has to be careful about those figures in the sense that it's probably best to let the official people who are doing the work tell us what the lie of the ground is. So I want to thank you very much, Elder Terence Kwanum, security expert, for sharing your perspectives with us this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Uncle. I appreciate it.
Okay, then. So we're going to have to leave it there. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition of the program. I am Iori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.